Hi everyone, I'm Shruti. Today we are diving into the world of CSS, the language that brings style and design to the web. Have you ever visited a website and thought, wow, this looks amazing? That's the power of CSS. Without it, the web would be plain and boring. We will cover the basic of CSS. So, here is the agenda which we are discussing today. We are discussing basic introduction, its features, and one simple code, and some interview questions which are frequently asked in interviews. Here is a basic information of CSS. So, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen, paper, or in other media. CSS saves a lot of work. It can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once in HTML. External style sheets are stored in CSS files. Here is a CSS works. CSS solved a big problem, which is HTML was never intended to contain tags formatting a web page. HTML was created to describe the content of a web page like H1. This is the heading of the HTML and which we are using in HTML. These are tags. So this is the heading tag and this is the paragraph tag. So for this tag, this is a simple tag. So we have to solve this problem. The World Wide Web constructism created in CSS. So CSS removed the style formatting of the HTML page, which makes attractive and makes it interesting to. There are features of CSS which helps to the image outlines of the key features of CSS. Cascading style sheets, a language that used for styling web page. These features enhance the presentation, responsiveness, and maintainability of websites. Here, here are some features. So the first one is styling and presenting. So CSS controls the visual aspects of a web pages. So in styling and presenting, there is a four web pages to help. The first one is colors. So this defines text, background, and border colors. The second is fonts. It manages the typeface, size, and style of the text. Next one is spacing. Adjust the space between elements using margins and padding. The next one is layouts. Positions elements on the page, including the use of flow. These all are used in styling and presenting feature of the CSS. The second one is selectors and declarations. There is a rule to target HTML elements and apply the styles. Selectors. Selectors is a patterns to select HTML elements. Uh, for example, element, class, ID selectors, etc. etc. And other one, declaration. Declaration is a consisting of properties and values like color. We have color blue. So we have to manage to add color blue to our font. So we can add in this declaration. The third one is cascading and inheritance. So in these styles of the cascade down from parent element to children unless overridden. So it's overriding specificity and the important rule can affect which styles apply. So the next one is fourth, responsive design and device compatibility. CSS enables websites to adapt to different sizes and devices. The next one is efficiency and maintenance. CSS promotes efficient coding and easier updates. We can use in these, we can reusable styles which can be defined once and applied to multiple elements. Then we are simplified maintenance which changes to the CSS style sheet, update the appearance of all linked pages. The next is faster loading. External CSS files can be cached, leading to faster page load times. So, using all these features, CSS works by applying styles to HTML elements either inline with the style tag or external .css files. The browser parses the CSS and renders to the web page. Um, Here is the example of a CSS. It is having a file name. We can save the file name with index.html. So we are starting the HTML code, and here is the body. In body we are adding a style using CSS. So we are adding a style here. In center it indicates that the message in align in center. So it will close the tag, and next here we are using CSS in HTML using the paragraph tag. Then we are closing our tags. Here are some interview questions asked on CSS. There are some questions. The one is, what do you know about CSS? Or why do we use CSS? What is the current version of CSS? Suggest some best CSS frameworks. How can we add comments in CSS? What does margin? We are signify in CSS. So we are discuss about these questions answers which is frequently asked. So are you preparing for front-end interview? These CSS questions are frequently asked and could be the key to landing your next job. So let's discuss about the questions. So our first question is, what is CSS? So we can tell tell about CSS. Here is the answer. CSS is cascading style sheet, fondly referred to as CSS, is simply designed the language intended to simplify the process of making web pages presentable. CSS allows you to apply styles to web pages. We can briefly tell about the CSS. The next one is, why do we use CSS? CSS saves time. Hence, we can write CSS once and reuse the same sheet on multiple HTML pages. And it is having also easy maintenance to make a global change, simply change style and all elements in all the web pages will be updated automatically. And also there is one more use. It's about search engines. CSS is considered a clean coding technique, which means search engines won't have to struggle to read its content. So the next one is, what is the current version of CSS? So we can tell simply a version of CSS. Recently we are using is CSS 3. The next one is, suggest some best CSS frameworks. The best CSS frameworks are Bootstrap, Tailwind CSS, Foundation, Bulma, Semantic UI, Materializes, Pure, UIKit. So the next question is, how can we add comments in CSS? So we are adding our comment CSS like this. We are adding a black slash in CSS. The next question is, what does margin we signify in CSS? The margins are 40 px, 100 px, 120 px and 80 px. So for 40 px we are using top. So the top margin is 40 px, right margin is 100 px, bottom margin is 120 px and left margin is 80 px. So here are some questions we are discussing about the CSS, which is frequently asked in interview questions. I think it helps you. Thank you.